Here we go. The final two Scooby-Doo reviews for a while, because I need a break from this page. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. I'm a for anything and everything animation, including a crime-solving canine and his group of meddling kids. Welcome back to our non-themed Scooby-Doo the finale marathon thing. And today we are talking about the final two films of this marathon, because like I said, I'm saving Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo for October of next year, because I'm not reviewing a Halloween movie in November. That just seems silly. And I'm not at all watching or reviewing Daphne and Velma. I saw it one time. I absolutely hated it. And I don't want to touch it. Okay? Allow me to save some of my sanity. So, let's start with the first of these final two reviews with Scooby-Doo, The Sword and the Scoob. This is the next animated movie to come out after the abomination that was Return to Zombie Island, and I'm glad to say that it was a much-needed bounce back. Now, is it a great movie? No. I might have called it great at first, but watching it again, there are a few more problems than I remember, but it's not to the point of destroying the experience like what happened with Scoob. This time, it's more just noticing more little things that do bug me a little bit. But I'm just going to tell you right now, this is a very good Scooby-Doo movie that's worth your time. I'm going to say that right now. So why don't we start with the negatives first, because I do have a good bit positive to say about this movie. The first big negative I have of this movie right off the bat is its pacing. I've complained a lot about pacing with these movies, I know, but considering the length that these are at, they shouldn't move so slow, or so quick, but sometimes it's either too fast, or sometimes it's either too slow, and it leads to the third act, well, way better than Zombie Island, Return to Zombie Island, even though it tried to trick me into thinking it was going the same route. It was still rushed, and it felt like it wrapped up way too quickly. So, yeah, there's that. The second thing is the Medieval Knights theme. It's nothing new for Scooby. Heck, the first Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode was literally them versus the Black Knights. So, I mean, medieval stuff is nothing new for Scooby. Its roots are all in that kind of gothic atmosphere and tones and settings. So having another Scooby-Doo project that's medieval themed seems a bit odd to me. They do a little bit of a better job at it than some of the other ones, but at the same time, it's generic. It's not horrible. It's still mostly decently executed, but it's just generic. Not to the point of ruining the movie, again, I just want to make that clear, but it is generic. It's not something you're going to remember in like T-minus 4 minutes or 2 days. My next big negative with the movie is probably going to be the mystery itself. The ending of this one's okay, but at the same time, this mystery just wasn't all that compelling to me. I mean, it was still okay. I didn't hate it every single time that was brought up, or that they had to do this mystery because it's part of the Scooby-Doo template and they will not ever stray away from it, because modern WB are too much of wussies to even try anything new nowadays. But at the same time, it's a very generic mystery that you've seen a dozen other times, done a dozen other ways, in a dozen other Scooby properties, and a dozen other movies in general that do it 10 times better. So, nothing new there. And then my final gripe with this movie is actually going to be the runtime. I think this could have easily been shortened by at least another 10-15 minutes. But then I know it wouldn't reach the hour mark, I don't think. This movie's like, what, an hour 20, 25 minutes, something like that. And it's mostly well utilized, but at the same time it feels like it runs too long, especially when the second act drags its feet. So, yeah, that's all the negatives I have with this movie. Now for the heap load of positives. Great voice acting, great animation, a surprisingly great story. Like, I do really like the story here. King Arthur is a great new character, and I want to know more about him, voiced by Jason Isaacs. Literally only a year after he did Dick Dastardly in the Scoob movie. And while I still think that Dick Dastardly was his best performance out of this franchise so far, King Arthur is still really good for him. He does a good job with that voice, with that tone, and it also really fits the movie in a strange way. It's a little hard to explain. It's easier when you see it for yourself. You'll be able to recognize what I'm trying to say. And then most of the other characters are still okay. I mean, Velma, thank goodness, has been dialed back a bit, even though it's still Kate Micucci. Oh boy. I'm sorry, I'm just never gonna like her Velma. It just does not work for me. The voice and the character did not match. There's some funny lines in here, especially all the parts with Scooby and Shaggy roaming around the castle, which is actually pretty funny. Yes, it's already been done in Abracadabra-Doo, and arguably better there, but it's still solid here. You still have that solid cheesy slapstick you expect from Scooby-Doo movies, and some pretty decent jokes too. Like, there was a couple in here that did get me laughing pretty good. And then all the characters are in character. The story itself is mostly well written. The writing's actually pretty good this time, which I appreciate. And like I said, the ending is okay. Like, it's not a great ending, but considering how it was tricking me into thinking it's going to be another Return to Zombie Island level absolute kick in the balls kind of ending, this ending was very refreshing to see. And it was actually a pretty good fake out. So, yeah, I think that about covers it for this movie. Pretty short, sweet, and to the point. Final verdict? 7 out of 10. Pretty good movie. Check it out if you haven't already. Just know it's not going to be greatness. You know what is greatness, though? The one we're ending this marathon on. See you next time for Straight Outta Nowhere.